Father Cahill was a well-loved pastor, very easy to work with, very rarely said no if you had a suggestion, if you had an idea.
Father Cahill, I think most people remember him as being the lover of children.
Had a great love for children.
He loved children.
He loved the children.
His love of children.
Tremendous love of children.
He said to me one time when he first came here, "I know I can relate to adults. I just hope I can relate to the children." Well, the children loved him.
We were in the church then, and the children would process after Mass with all the offertory articles.
And oh, do I ever go up with them?
And then when the final blessing was done, the kids would just run up from everywhere.
Run up, they really did. They used
Oh,
to fight,
my
not
Joanne
fight, but
did-
they wanted certain articles.
Grab a piece of metal and rush it back to the end of the church.
Ciboriums, different candelabra.
Many that we didn't need
No,
at
no.
that particular Mass,
Yeah.
but because he knew the children wanted it.
Yeah, and they'd process ahead of him, and they were so pleased. This was such a big deal.
And I'll never forget, even when he was at the last stages of his health, when he was very sick, every Mass he'd still carry down himself, I'm sure 30, 40, 50 articles to the back of the church so that the kids could carry them up to the altar. And then the kids would carry them back at the end of Mass, and then he'd reverse the process. And sick as he was, he never stopped doing that. And I remember he made the kids feel that church was their home. Church was somewhere they belonged. So, and his belief was that if they felt that way as very young, they would be that way when they got to be teenagers and young adults.
One Sunday, a little boy ran right up to Father Cahill saying the Mass, looked up at him and said, "Hello, Jesus." And I said to him, "What did you say?" And he said, "I said hello." Because he said at that moment, in that child's eyes, I was Jesus. So I was not going to change that feeling that that little boy had. It was beautiful with the children. We would have the rosary in the evening during the month of May and again in October, every night. And I would walk over from my home with my children, my neighbors. We'd all show up to say the rosary, and the children were learning to say the prayers. Father made sure they all had something to do, something to carry, keep them all involved. And we had a little shrine with a statue of Our Lady. So that showed also he had a great devotion to Our Lady.
Father Cahill was a lover of cats. He used to have trap doors all over the house where the cats would come in and go out and wander around the house. His sister Annie was living there at the time for a short while, and she came into the room and she looked at all the cats and she said, "Father, are you running a cat house?"
I would bring my little son to Mass. He was about 4 at that point. And he loved to come to Mass because he could see all the cats. And he was so kind. He even put birdseed on the driveway. The driveway went down, and he would put birdseed all over the driveway so that the birds would be fed, but the cars wouldn't slide down the driveway too, you know.
We were singing in the choir one night, and it was midnight Mass, and a little mouse ran over someone's foot. Well, it let out a bit of excitement from the choir. We told Father, and he said, "Well, that's fine. We're not going to kill it. Just leave it alone." He would feed that little mouse. He would not harm anything or anyone.
He was also had the ability to say thank you. That man thanked everybody for whatever the smallest thing they did. And because of it, he got people teeming out of the woodwork to come and help him.
We were in church one Sunday morning, and Father Cahill approached us with a beautiful crucifix in his hand. And he went on to say that this crucifix was very, very special to him, and it was blessed by the Pope. Father Cahill had signed in the back to say of its special blessings, and he wanted that crucifix to be hung in our home.
When he was leaving, gave me a box, and it was his chalice. He said, "This is for all you've done for the parish." But you'll see the dents in it too. I mean, the dents in the chalice were similar to the fenders on his car. But he did it on the garage door. The kids did it bouncing it off the floor of the church.
It's the time when we decided to run a fun fair. And Father Cahill and Father Timmons and I went shopping down into Old Montreal to a toy manufacturer to decide what toys we'd buy to give as prizes. We laughed so much that day because every time Father Timmons and I would turn around, there's Father Cahill playing with the toys, running them up and down the aisle to see what they did. I was recalling his 25th anniversary of his ordination. I met him at the door, pinned a corsage on him, and he said, "What is this? I've never had a flower before." Well, he was almost in tears. He couldn't believe that we would do this for him. Dennis Nolan, who was our choir director, composed a special song for him. Charlie Cahill, "You're a Great Guy." We all sang it as he came in. The hall was filled with people. He was completely surprised. We gave him a gift. I found out that he was planning a trip to England. We changed it to first class. We still had money left over. I bought hairbrushes for him. They were silver on the top, and I had his initials put on them. And I thought, well, that way he'll keep them. Well, I found out later he gave them to his brother, who has the same initials as he had. He never kept anything. You could give him anything and he wouldn't keep it.
He was somebody who really didn't try to have a high profile, but his impact was enormous. He, by his example, by his being humble, by his being a very holy person.
He was kneeling at the front of the church. I could see his shoes. The soles of his shoes, big holes. I took him to a shoe store downtown. I just about collapsed. When he took his shoe off to try on a new pair of shoes, he had cardboard inside the shoe because of the holes, so that his foot wouldn't be right on the ground.
He was an intellectual, and yet his homilies were
On our level.
And I think you can give Father Cahill a lot of credit for the way that he started the parish, because he was the kind of a leader that basically tells you where you have to go, but then he lets you do it your way. He doesn't get in your way. He lets everybody do things. And I think by allowing all kinds of groups to do things that they saw that needed to be done was why there was so much success in the parish.
I believe if every parish priest was like him, we'd have no shortage of priests. I love priesthood, not only because of Father Cahill, but a large part of it's to do with Father Cahill. He was just a wonderful priest, a man of prayer, a faithful person, an honest person. He would not accept lies. He would not manipulate people. He was a very upfront person. And I would think, probably as young as I was then, the only priest I would know of that could have handled me the way he did. So I guess I conclude, as the first associate pastor of St. Thomas of Becket, I just want to thank publicly the gift of Father Cahill. There won't be too many other priests like him. He had the mixture of the discipline of the old church, the intelligence of Vatican II, and the openness of the spirit that would have led him. We need Cahills today.